Hello, Serena. I hope you're doing well. Danny here. So, today I have chosen these two decks for your reading. I'll just kind of dive in and give you a whole spiel as we begin to shuffle these cards. So, this is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, along with the Old Ways, the Magic Oracle. Normally, for a more business-like reading, or a more like career-related reading, I usually choose something a little more practical, but it definitely felt like this was the way to go. So I just kind of followed that instinct. So I am an energy reader. You'll hear me say things like I see, I hear, I feel. That's just kind of my way of speaking, my vocabulary, I guess, when it comes to reading. I leave these readings up so you don't have to worry about trying to get everything in at once or taking notes. I mean, of course, if you want to, please, by all means, feel free. But I'm not going to take these down, so you don't have, I have a bent card. Oh my goodness, I don't know what happened here. Must have gotten pinched between something. Yeah, so I leave them up. You don't have to worry about it going away. I don't take them down. And you're the only one that has this link. It's unlisted. So please, by all means, feel free to come and go and consult it as much as you like. If you have any kind of questions, if you want to discuss anything, we can certainly do that. We got an Eight of Cups flying right away. And I know that sometimes shuffling can be distracting, but I feel like although I sit with your energy before I do the reading, for me, when I start that camera, this is where we are together. Yes, it's separated by space and time, but this is where our energy unites. So I always shuffle while I have the camera on because this is our connection. This is our tie, right? Okay, so this feels good. Now with the Oracle cards, I have them here for if we need, when we need, right? Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. I just always try to have them around just in case. So I always snatch the one that feels the best and kind of keep it there. These are some very big cards, so... Now, also with these 30-minute readings, I don't have like structured places, right? So a normal spread might have like, this is the past, this is the present kind of idea. For 30-minute reads, I usually just kind of let everything come out as it will. If we need to move them around or rearrange them, I just kind of pull cards until I feel like that's good. And then we go from there. So this one flew out, which is honestly not surprising, this Eight of Cups walking away from something. So that definitely gives us validation as to what's going on. So I'm just going to pull these kind of clustered. So I'm going to put these here. And I do turn them around. Oh, we have another cluster. Okay. Another one. Okay. I'm just going to kind of set these. And like I said, it doesn't matter which way, up or down, these cards come out. The energy will be the energy. So I like to turn them facing up so that we can see them properly. Okay. Let me check and make sure everything is in view. Okay. All right, and I'll remember to pull these over when we need them. Okay. So first and foremost, the thing that's popping out to me is all of this gold. Like, I just feel like that's the first thing I notice is all of these gold colors. There's gold around her neck and in these flowers. You have the Sun card, which is full of gold. The High Priestess, her gown here is trimmed in gold. We have the gold walking away with the Eight of Cups. The Awakening, marigolds. Look, all in the background. So there's just a lot of stuff going on here with that gold, which tells me that the raise in pay is probably very important for you. That's kind of where that energy is going, especially in something like this, where you said that you might be getting an offer for something that has better pay, right? So let's talk about this first card that kind of popped out as we were shuffling. This is the Eight of Cups. Okay, this is about walking away from something. And I find it very telling that around her head and across her shoulder, the way that she is walking away with these kind of things predominantly placed is that the extra money looks like it's well worth the reason to walk away, if that makes sense. There definitely feels like this kind of pay raise could change a lot of things in your life. And I feel like that has, not that it's the only reason, but that has a huge, huge part in this walking away. Right? And a lot of times when people choose to leave their jobs that they've had for a long time, it's usually not solely for money. However, I feel like whatever this pay raise could possibly be, or whatever opportunities, whether it be this one that's coming up or something else that may be coming up, if that one doesn't pan out, the option to seek this higher pay is reason enough to leave. So that also gives me, with these cups kind of up and down, have you asked for, forgive me, I'm from Louisiana and I try to, everybody always makes fun of me, like they axe, but that's kind of, that's how I say ask. It's just like my mouth doesn't want to go around that word, I just say axe. Have you asked for a raise or talked about a raise in pay? If you haven't and something does come in, I would say, because of the way that this is kind of overlapping each other as you walk away, it may be something to consider if you get a higher offer to come at the place that you're at with this higher offer and say, like, this is what I was offered. Can you match it? Can you exceed it? You know, whichever way you want to do that, and see how that pans out as well as an option. But this Eight of Cups is very much like walking away. Like, can it be matched? If it cannot be matched, I don't know if it's a good thing to stay. That's just from this one card though. Like, it was just really, really in the forefront. And the reason I'm saying that it might not be a good reason to stay if they cannot do this, or if they cannot supersede, is this moon in the background feels like there is this kind of cycle going on. So I don't know if you feel overlooked or mistreated, or I don't know, that's kind of those main everything is coming so quickly that I'm having trouble slowing down. I do have a tendency to do that. If you ever need, please feel free. There is a way that you can slow down what I'm saying. There's a slow down feature in the settings. I do try to rein myself in, because I usually trip over my words when it's starting to get there, so I apologize. So let me see if I can rein my mouth back in and catch myself back up. The main feelings of this whole situation is that there is an overlooked and like a constant cycle of almost being pushed towards the back, which I feel like is kind of a thorn in your side, right? Because it feels like it almost feels like I'm being like swept back. Like, it's like every time there seems to be something to move you forward, it's like it's swept back. So I don't know if like other people are getting raises or promotions and you're being overlooked or you're being passed up, but this kind of structure is definitely leaving you feeling, or what it feels like to me in your energy is just like unappreciated. But like overlooked seems to be just like a huge theme in this, and that cycle of being overlooked. So it's like, I'm not sure what kind of structure is going on in the job that you've had right now, but there definitely feels like there is some kind of overlooking going on. And so the money, it could be a reason to stay if they can match it. However, you definitely have to look at that cycle, and if there's potential to fall back into that cycle, it may still need to be walked away from regardless. Okay, that's kind of where this circle has taken me. So let's kind of move on. I definitely feel like this cluster here we need to take a look at. So, oh wow, we have quite a few majors in here that have come up. But in this cluster alone, we have the High Priestess, we have potential, and we have the Three of Cups. Right away, I will tell you that whatever is coming, if you do indeed get this offer, which a potential, which is like the Fool in the tarot, kind of that brand new area, right? Like that brand new, spontaneous new beginning, right? Coming in with this High Priestess. Okay, so this offer, if it does come through, and I'm saying if it does, there definitely feels like there is some sort of opportunity. So if that one does not work, I feel like there will be more, or it's time to seek for more. Because the Three of Cups is cause for a celebration, right? And this potential in the High Priestess, this High Priestess tells me that whatever your instinct, your initial instinct that maybe caused you to look before, or maybe opened you up to this opportunity, there was a reason for that. This High Priestess comes around and says, oh, I know this in my gut that this is the right thing to do, right? Like I know that this is the right thing to do. There is just something about this Fool coupled with this High Priestess that tells me if you get the chance to take it, take it. Now, the person in me, Danny, and not the reader in me, says, oh, dot your I's, cross your T's, ask questions, know everything. But man, this High Priestess is coming in because, like, me as a person, I'm like, oh, make sure. I mean, there is cause for celebration, but like, make sure, ask your questions, if anything kind of feels funny, ask a little more about it before you accept. But this High Priestess is very much kind of in my face kind of energy, saying like, oh, I know already, right? Like, I know it. I just know it. It's just something pulling me back, but I know that this is a good idea. And this Fool, this potential, is definitely saying, take the risk, because the risk doesn't seem like such a big deal. Again, the cause for celebration. Sometimes when we're given this new opportunity, it feels like a risk, and our insides get incredibly nervous, and we're like, oh, I just don't know, oh, and we kind of beat ourselves up about it, and we really kind of sink into that what if zone, right? Oftentimes it's because there is a big change involved, and even though that change is necessary, or that change is for the best, it is still scary. It doesn't make it less scary, because we don't know, right? Like, we don't know the ins and outs and the everydays, right? We don't know how we're gonna feel there, how we're gonna be there. Like, there's so many unknowns. Even though the basic structure of it, everything looks great on paper, you have all your questions answered, there is still a scary part to that. But this Fool with this High Priestess says that if your intuition peaks, right? If this feels like the risk is worth it, then it is. Don't second guess yourself, I think, is the main thing. And me as Danny just says, cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure that everything's fine. But this High Priestess energy is just like, no. Don't second guess yourself. Danny likes to second guess herself, but don't do that, right? If I had to give you that energy, if I had to let you know about this, it's like there is a risk that's worth taking. And if you can feel it out, if you know that this risk is worth taking because of the money, because of the end of the cycles, because of this, that, and the other, then I really do think that the risk is indeed worth taking because of that 3 of Cups underneath it. Okay? Gosh, and I mean, the Sun, right at the end of this kind of whole thing, it does feel like there are going to be ups and downs with this. While the Sun usually does bring a lot of joy and a lot of new beginnings, right? The Sun will help in growth, right? It does bring that growth. But it does feel like there are some things that are going to be hard and some things that are going to be easy during this transition, right? So there must be some sort of connections, and I'm feeling like maybe... Is it like emotional connections with maybe people that you work with, or just the memories that have, been made there, or which immediately it was like, no, it's not that. But it does feel like there is some sort of connection. This might be with just the people that you work with, and kind of leaving your day-to-day, that's been your day-to-day for 5 years, kind of leaving that behind, leaving that safe place, that safe structure behind, is going to be difficult. But there does feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel, obviously. This would be for the best with this Sun energy, because even the Sun, whether it's reversed or, upright, the energy of the Sun is always good, in my opinion. I've never had a Sun card be like, ooh, that's gonna be not so good. Like, regardless of anything, the Sun shines, right? Even through a thunderstorm, the Sun is still there. The clouds may be in front of it, but the Sun is still there, right? And so that's kind of that same feeling where there may be some tough emotional things that you're going to go through. Even, I don't know what this energy is kind of coming from the back end, but there does feel like, I don't know if there's somebody that's like, is this a good idea? Like, I don't know if you have somebody that's kind of making you second guess yourself, or asking these questions that maybe you can't answer, or, I don't know, just kind of, the best way I can describe this is kind of like picking away at something. It's like, but what about this? But what about this? Like pulling layers and layers and layers off and just trying to find the bad spot, right? It's like having an onion and like constantly pull, like, but what if there's a bad spot in this onion, and just pulling pieces and layers and layers and layers off. And then you have this whole, deconstructed onion. You went maniac on this thing and just peeled every little thing apart over nothing. It would have been on the outside, right? It would have been on the outside. And if not, you cut it in half and you open it up. If there's nothing, there's nothing. Peeling layer by layer, looking for a bad spot is not going to help anyone. You can clearly see when there's a bad spot. You will notice it, right? And so if you have one of those people that is constantly trying to like peel all these layers and find the bad in this, I feel like it's definitely time to push them away, or kind of push back, set some boundaries on that, and be like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Let me do it. Right? Because again, this High Priestess is really kind of taking over here, where it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're only causing me anxiety. You're only causing me stress. I don't need that. I'm making big decisions right now. I got it. I don't need you to nitpick. I'm nitpicking enough. If I make this decision, then I'm making it. End of story. Because again, I feel like this Sun, it's like, no matter what you choose, you are going to do the right thing, right? Because it's your decision, ultimately, in the end. But this risk is worth it. So if you choose this, Just know that yes, there are some emotional ties. There are some people in your life that you are close to that are going to be scared for you, because other people's change can scare other people, right? You know, if you have a friend that's making a big change in their life, sometimes you just get nervous for them. And you just want them to be safe, and you want them to be happy, and you want them, you know, you don't want anything bad to happen to them. So you're like, are you sure? Is this a good idea? You know, like, you fall into that space where it's like, I'm just trying to help, but sometimes it's not helpful. So sometimes it's going to be necessary with some people to set that boundary and be like, please, let me make this decision. I can't take on anyone else's anxiety about this, you know, any more, you know, kind of what if scenarios. So I feel like our main question is kind of being answered here at the top, but let's see what's going on here at the bottom, and where this is kind of headed, where this is going, what you need to consider. That's kind of what this feels like. It's like things to keep in mind. So these two together here, the Spirit of Swords, this Nymph of Cups. Excuse my French, but immediately this feels like the energy of like, I can see straight through your bullshit. So what is this about? This Spirit of Swords is very set in their ways, and it's like, it definitely feels like a been there, done that kind of attitude over this Nymph of Cups, which is like, but everything is new, and I don't know where things are coming from, and this is scary, and I'm not really sure. Like, this unsure attitude, this kind of, I'm going to say this newbie attitude, is very much being overshadowed by the Spirit of Swords that says, no, you feel like you're a newbie, but you're not. Right? You know what you're doing. So, again, do you feel sometimes that if you take something else, that you're starting at the bottom, that you're going to be brand new again, that you're not going to know, it's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be, you know, weird for a while, everybody's going to look at you as like the new person, and that you don't know what you're doing. And it's like, this Spirit of Swords is like, but you're not. You know what you're doing. Regardless if you're new to the place, you are not new to this. You know what you know, and you can apply it anywhere. Right? Even something that you didn't even think about. You know, like, sometimes it's like, oh, your skills in typing. Okay, I'm just going to pull this out my butt. Okay, let's say you're really fast at typing, but you're going to be a sculptor, right? That's not going to help. Wrong. Because as a typist, you've learned that your fingers have muscle memory, right? And so that will cause you, or you have the skill now, to always lay your tools in a specific spot, just like the keys on your board. So your hands will have that muscle memory. You know, my knife goes here, my roller goes here, my, you know, texture tool goes here, my scraper goes here. And so, you know, as you're doing stuff, you know where to grab, because you have created that muscle memory. You learned that from typing. Those two things shouldn't go together at all, but you had that skill to begin with, so you know how to do things with it. You know how to pull from it. So no matter what, even if you have to learn something completely new, you have other skills that will transfer. And that's what that Spirit of Swords is really coming in there and saying. You are smart enough to figure it out. Emotionally, it may be daunting and scary, but logically, you got this. Your skills will always transfer. You will surprise yourself by how much you actually know, and how much things will unfold and are learned so much easier because of your past learnings, right? Like, I equate that to learning a different system, right? If you've, been on a PC and you have to learn a Mac, It doesn't mean you're going to be completely lost. You know basic computer skills. You just have to figure out the key structure, right? You just have to figure out how to, do everything with a keyboard and a mouse versus just your mouse. You have to figure out where all the settings are, but you still know what those settings look like. The display is always going to be the display. Just because it's structured somewhere different in a different folder doesn't mean that you don't know. So you'd be surprised once you start working on it how much you fit right in, because you have those basic computer skills. This is what this is saying. It may feel scary, but you absolutely have the skills that you need to do this, okay? So don't forget that. That may be something that's kind of picking at you in the back of your mind. Just know that you do have the skills that it takes. The skills are transferable. You will surprise yourself as to how much you know and how quickly you'll catch on, right? I want to save this because this feels like an ending, but I do want to talk about this Ace of Cups and this kind of fulfillment that's coming out of this. I feel like right now in this structure, especially the fact that it was laid out underneath this Eight of Cups, it does feel like for the first time being able to rise above things and actually feel like you're doing something for yourself and you're making something of yourself. Like there is a very big jump of just like, I want to say pride, of like you took the time to better yourself and to think about these things and to put this out into the universe, and you're pulling this out and setting yourself up for so much more. This open opportunity is a huge thing, right? This emotional fulfillment that is kind of you're setting yourself up for is kind of the best way to describe this. The way that you're setting up this situation is one to allow you to shine, right? Where I feel like, again, there's been a lot of dull, there's been a lot of overlooked, and it's like now you're in a better position, a better place to like, oh no, I get to shine now. I have these skills. I know these things. I've done this stuff, right? And really feel confident about that. This is about an emotional fulfillment that I feel like is being set up for, right? So let's come on this side and talk a little bit here about what else is going on. So we do have a Seven of Cups and a Two of Wands, which does talk about, it definitely feels like a situation where there is, okay, let me ask you this. Were you promised things before and it just hasn't turned out that way at this old job? Because I feel like this is also one of those kind of thorns in your side where it's like, but I've been promised this before and they never delivered, right? I was told that there would be this, that, the other, but I'm not seeing that. Or if it is, it's like way less than they said or way less than I expected. And this Two of Wands is like, I waited for this to come in, but instead of being able to see this to fruition and kind of be a part of this and feel like I'm being taken seriously and that I'm growing with the company, I don't feel that. I feel like I'm kind of chained here and I'm watching this stuff. I know that they always say the world is at my fingertips, but that's not how I feel. I feel like I've been duped, and there is kind of a fear of like having to deal with that again. Like, what if I'm being promised all this but I'm not seeing it? And the one thing I will have to say to that, and what kind of keeps reverberating in the back, is like, well, then say something. And by that, it's like, if you are presented with this, say, this sounds spectacular. Now, in this past position that I was in this other company or whatever that may be, I was also promised a lot of things, and I never saw these come into fruition. Are these things that are possible or things that are guaranteed? Right? It's as simple as that. Because if those are the things that are important to you and you've gotten duped before, or you felt like you were kind of misled and that's left you a bit jaded, then definitely say something. Be like, I'm just trying to protect myself, and everything sounds great, and I just want to reiterate this. I just want to, go over this with you one more time. Is this a possibility, or is this a guarantee? Or is that, like, how does this structure work? Can you just decide not to give me something, or not to do something? Those kind of, I want to say, like, safety nets. If it's a company that does, things in writing, can I have it in writing? Simple as that. Or can you email me that? That way I have it in writing. That way I can refer to this if I ever need. Those kind of ideas. You know what I mean? If those are some of your hang-ups, then get it in some form of writing. Be like, okay, can you email that to me? That way you have it in writing. Do you see what I mean? There are ways around things and ways that can protect you if you feel like that's an issue that you've gone through before and you want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. Or if by some miracle this job that you have decides to step up to the game, that's going to be something you need. Okay? So keep that in mind for sure. On here, now I feel like it's this and then this. So I'm going to do that. So let's talk about this awakening. This is, it definitely feels like there's been an aha moment. I don't know if maybe in the past few days you've had an aha moment. I don't know if there's something that was said here that made you kind of open your eyes and have a little aha moment, or something that was revealed or that will be revealed. But there is definitely a bit of that, like, oh, okay, right? This is a place to start over. This is a place to, it almost has hanged man energy, which makes me feel like there's a shift in perspective that needs to happen. Whereas, like, before, you didn't have the power. You were kind of suspended in air, right? Whereas now you've seen the big picture. You understand what to ask for. You understand what to look for. And so now you hold the power in any possible way. If you don't like what's presented, you can always say no. Right? You can always say no and wait for something else to unfold. You can take the stand and make waves where you are and ask these hard questions and do these hard things. You hold that power. And I feel like getting on your own 2 feet, kind of really standing in that confidence where you are and knowing that you have the skills to do what you need. It's like when things come up, you're going to be able to see them from that perspective now, because you're no longer stuck. You hold the reins and you can make these big decisions for yourself. I do feel like change is imminent. I do feel like there needs to be some sort of shift, and you do need to walk away from this job. Now, having said that, that is just the energy around it. If something big shifts, if it doesn't feel right for you right now, this is your decision. It is you ultimately who has to make this decision. I'm just saying that there are energies around you that are supportive. This isn't about doing some sort of rash, like, throw your hands in the air and just be like, screw everything, and kind of do whatever. That might not work out so well. But what it is saying is that you now hold the key to say yes or no. And I feel like things are more laid out than they were before, and it's been like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't think about this, or I didn't think about that, and I do feel, overlooked, or I do feel this type of way, so maybe it is time for something new. Change is always difficult, okay? And whether this is completely up to you. But if it is not, if I had to give advice based on this energy today, it would be like, if this is not the one, there's another one. Where you are right now does not seem like a place for you to stay. This feels like a place of suspension, like you were stuck, and I don't feel like it's going to develop into something further, right? Unless there is a huge shift. And to have a huge shift will take you making those waves. Will take you stepping up and saying something and trying to shift them yourself. And then you'll know for sure, right? So keep that in mind, right? Ultimately, everything in life is our own decision, right? But this is a space where I feel like you can stand in confidence and trust yourself. You can trust yourself. You've been there, and I feel like you know that that's not where you want to stay. So something has to change. But there does feel that rebirth. This awakening is that, right? Is that rebirth. This is some time for something completely new, right? Completely new. So let's talk about these last two, the Nymph of Wands and the Universe. I love how they both have these like spear-like instruments in their hands. This Nymph of Wands has really got a lot of passion behind this. I feel like there is a freedom and a passion behind whatever shift is going on right now. And the Universe, so I mean, that's literally a completion, right? This is our World card. This is an old adventure coming to an end and a new one starting. And I find that very interesting that we have the Universe and the Fool. We have the completion of something into a new beginning. And this Nymph of Wands is really showing to go where your passions lie. This is about newness. Yes, we have another nymph. We have another kind of young learning energy. But this is the type of energy that's like, oh, I want to learn new stuff. I want to try new things. I want to go on an adventure, right? Like, I really want newness in my life. I want to go on to the next thing, right? So it's like complete what needs to be completed, and then follow that passion and follow that kind of spunk that you have inside, to learn and to grow and to do new things. I feel like a lot of times we stay places because they're comfortable and it's what we quote unquote should do. Been there, done that a lot. And I always end up in this space of almost like, well, some in a literal depression. Like, I feel like I'm stuck. I can't get out. I can't do anything. And it's like, I allow this to weigh me down. And I felt like, oh, no matter which way I turned, it just wasn't right. And it's like, I woke up one day and I was like, I am so stinking miserable. Like, I am so miserable. Why on earth am I doing this to myself? Like, it was terrible. I was in my early 20s. I was trying to do the big girl thing and like do what I was supposed to do, and you know, I tried so hard to conform to that and to just put my head down and do what I have to do and just go about my life. But every day before I'd go to work, I would dread it. On my way to work, I would cry. Like, I hated it that much. And I was like, but this is what being a grown-up is all about. You know, and I had convinced myself that this was the end-all be-all. That this is what I needed to be doing. That this was the grown-up thing to do. And that I, you know, if I lost this, then I was just dumb, right? Like that I was going to be a failure and that I didn't have any other options. And that was not true. But I had convinced myself for months until I woke up one day and I was like, I legit cannot do this anymore. And it was the best decision I ever made to change, right? For me, I was able to find another job and I started school. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I just want to, go to school and go to work and have it just be a road to something different. And I did that. And everything felt like it fell into place. No, I didn't have the same amount of money. I didn't have the same structure. I didn't have the insurance, and I didn't have this, that, and the other. But I was young, I was healthy, and I was literally driving myself to a deep and utter anxiety-riddled depression. And I just had to step out of that. And I feel like even though it's not, like, we don't get to those places and it's not that bad, we still continue to tell ourselves that, no, this is the right thing to do and I shouldn't change, then I'll have to start all over again and I'll have to do that, this, that, and the other. And it's like, it doesn't hurt to try. It doesn't hurt to feel it out. It doesn't hurt to see what other opportunities are available versus staying somewhere that it's not right for you, right? So take all of this energy, take all of this advice, really look at it, really see how you feel about all of this, and allow those opportunities to flow into you. I feel like you can't, with this Sun card, I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like you can't make a wrong decision. It can only go up from here. Staying still is the only bad decision you can make, if that makes sense. Mouth shut, staying still is the only bad decision you can make. Everything else brings growth and betterment. And honestly, I feel like this 8 of Cups feels like you've already made a decision to walk away if you get a chance. Because there's something there that is not what you need. So Serena, I really hope that this helps. If you have questions, if you want to talk about anything, or not, I am here for you. So whatever you need, send me an email, send me a message. I am here for you, and we will talk very soon. I'm sending all my love. Bye-bye.